Hello, 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 everybody. Hope you're having a good evening. Welcome in. Boo, hello, Cassie. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. I'm very excited. A little tired, but that's just because I had so much going on this weekend. Hung out with Sprinkles a lot yesterday, and then there was I am part of two dance teams. The other dance team I'm a part of had a party today, a summer ween, so it was fun. But welcome in, everybody. Hello, Mason. Thank you. And congrats on first. Hello, Ultraplex. Welcome in. Welcome. Hello, Pansy. Hello. And hi, Cassie. Hello. All right. Let's go ahead. We are gonna read some stuffs. Hello, Titan. Welcome in. We are gonna read some stuffs. It may not be super long. Just how it be. Earlier, my ears started hurting really bad. And I was like, am I going to have to cancel? Because I didn't want to. But they fixed themselves enough. But that did make me very tired. I did take I think it was like, what was it? Like 20 minutes to like lay down and just be like, Oh, thank you for the lurk. I'm okay. All right. Thank you for the lurking. All right, you guys. I'm gonna hold on a second. I just remembered. Yeah, there are doubles. We'll just have to deal with it. All right. Boom. Send it back. There we go. All right. I wanted to make sure that when I play the Spotify music, we know what it is. So it's down here still. Right down at the bottom. There's nothing's playing, so. All right. Let's go ahead and take off my hat. And let's start the music. And then we can go ahead and... Oh, uh-oh. There we go. I was like, what happened? All right. Let's go ahead. All right. Put my glasses on. Gotta be able to see, even though in real life I don't need glasses. Just this universe. All right. Shall we get down to business? We will go ahead and recap where we were, because we're here on chapter 17. So let's see. I'm glad, Mason. All right. So we're the part in the book where Katniss is in the arena and she has decided that she needs to blow up the career's food. So that's the powerful tributes, like District 1 and 2 and 4. Let's see. Hold on. I knew that was gonna be a problem. Okay. I fix. Okay. Yeah, is that better? Okay, yeah. Okay, fix. Yay. Now face tracking is better. Just came in here for this. Can't stay too long since my phone's about to die. Good night, darlings. Thank you, Cassie. Thank you for the 10 stream watch. Thank you. All right. And then so she has decided that she figured out that they dug up the mines, and then they reburied them around the like mountain of supplies that they have, including their food. So she's decided that she's gonna shoot a bag of apples, and then the apples were gonna set off all of the, or at least enough of the mines in the ground. And now here we are. So it's literally she just shot them. All the apples went in the ground. This is the aftermath. Okay. All right. Here we go. Chapter 17. The impact of the hard-packed earth of the plane knocks the wind out of me. My backpack does little to soften the blow. Fortunately, my quiver has caught in the crook of my elbow, sparing both itself and my shoulder. The bow is locked in my grasp. The ground still shakes with explosions. I can't hear them. I can't hear anything at the moment. But the apples must have set off enough mines, causing debris to activate the others. I managed to shield my face with my arms as shattered bits of matter, some of it burning, rain down on me. The acrid smoke fills the air, which is not the best remedy for someone trying to regain the ability to breathe. After about a minute, the ground stops vibrating. I roll on my side and allow myself a moment of satisfaction at the sight of the smoldering wreckage that was recently the pyramid. After a minute, the ground stops vibrating. I roll on my side and and the careers aren't likely to salvage anything out of that. I better get out of here, I think. They'll be making a beeline for this place. But once I'm on my feet, I realize escape might not be so simple. I'm dizzy. Not the slightly wobbly kind, the kind that sends the trees swooping down at you, causes the earth to move in waves under your feet. I take a few steps and somehow wind up on my hands and knees. I wait for a few minutes to let it pass, but it doesn't. Panic sets in. I can't stay here. Flight is essential, but I can neither walk nor hear. I place a hand on my left ear, the one that turned toward the blast, and it comes away bloody. Have I gone deaf from the explosion? The idea frightens me. I rely as much on my ears as my eyes as a hunter, maybe more at times. But I can't let my fear show. Absolutely, positively, I am live on every screen in Panem. No blood trails, I tell myself. I manage to pull my hood over my head, tie the cord under my chin with the uncooperative fingers. That should help soak up the blood. I can't walk, but can I crawl? I move forward tentatively. Yes, if I go very slowly, I can crawl. Most of the woods will offer insufficient cover. My only hope is to make it back to Rue's copse and conceal myself in the greenery. I can't get caught out here on my hands and knees in the open. Not only will I face death, it is sure to be a long and painful one at Cato's hands. The thought of Prim having to watch me doggedly inch my way toward the hideout. Another blast knocks me flat on my face, a stray mine set off by some collapsing crate. This happens twice more. I'm reminded of those last few kernels that burst when Prim and I popped corn over the fire at home. To say I make it back in the nick of time is an understatement. I have literally just dragged myself into a tangle of bushes at the base of trees when there's Cato barreling into the plain, soon followed by his companions. His rage is so extreme it might be comical. So people really do tear out their hair and beat the ground with their fists. If I didn't know it was aimed at me, at what I had done to him. Added to my proximity, my inability to run or defend myself, and in fact, the whole thing has me terrified. I'm glad my hiding place makes it impossible for cameras to get a close shot of me because I'm biting my nails like there's no tomorrow. Gnawing off the last bit of nail polish, trying to keep my teeth from chattering. The boy from District 3 throws stones at the ruins and must have declared all the mines activated because their careers are approaching the wreckage. Cato has finished the first phase of his tantrum and takes out his anger on the smoking remains by kicking open various containers. The other tributes are poking around the mess, others looking for anything to salvage, but there's nothing. The boy from District 3 has done his job too well. The idea must occur to Cato too, because he turns on the boy and appears to be shouting at him. The boy from District 3 only has time to turn and run before Cato catches him in a headlock from behind. I can only see the muscles ripple in Cato's arms as he sharply jerks the boy's head to the side. It's that quick. The death of the boy from District 3. The other two careers seem to be trying to calm Cato down. I can tell he wants to return to the woods, but they keep pointing at the sky, which puzzles me until I realize, of course, they think whoever set off the explosions is dead. They don't know about the arrows and the apples. They assume the booby trap was faulty, but that the tribute who blew up the supplies was killed doing it. If there was a cannon shot, it could have been easily lost in the subsequent explosions. The shattered remains of the thief removed by the hovercraft. They retire to the far side of the lake to allow the game makers to retrieve the body of the boy from District 3. Then they wait. I suppose a cannon goes off. A hovercraft appears and takes the dead boy. The sun dips below the horizon. Night falls. Up in the sky, I see a seal, and know the anthem must have begun. A moment of darkness. They show the boy from District 3, the boy from District 10 who must have died this morning. Then the seal appears. So now they know. The bomber survived. In the seal's light, I can see Cato and the girl from District 2 put on their night vision glasses. The boy from District 1 ignites the tree branch for a torch, illuminating the grim determination on all their faces. The careers stride back into the woods to hunt. The dizziness has subsided while my left ear is still deafened. I can hear the ringing in my right, which is a good sign. There is no point in leaving my hiding place, though. I'm about as safe as I can be. Here at the crime scene. They probably think the bomber has a 2 or 3 hour lead on them. Still, it's a long time before I risk moving. The first thing I do is dig out my own glasses and put them on, which relaxes me a little, to have at least one of my hunter's senses working. I drink some water and wash the blood from my ear. I fear the smell of meat will draw unwanted predators. Fresh blood is bad enough. I make a good meal out of the greens and roots and berries Rue and I gathered today. Where is my little ally? Did she make it back to the rendezvous point? Is she worried about me? At least the sky has shown we're both alive. I run through the surviving tributes on my fingers. The boy from 1, both from 2, Foxface, and both from 11 and 12. Just 8 of us. The betting must be getting really hot in the capital. They'll be doing special features on each of us now, probably interviewing our friends and families. It's been a long time since a District 12 made it to the top 8. Now there are 2 of us. Although from what Cato said, Pito is on his way out. Not that Cato is the final word on anything. Didn't he just lose his entire stash of supplies? Let the 74th Hunger Games begin, Cato, I think. Let them begin for real. A cold breeze has sprung up. I reach for my sleeping bag before I remember I left it with Rue. I was supposed to pick up another one, but with the mines and all, I forgot. I began to shiver. Since the roosting overnight in a tree isn't sensible anymore, I scoop out a hollow underneath the bushes and cover myself with leaves and pine needles. I'm still freezing. I lay my sheet of plastic over my upper body and position my backpack to block the wind. It's a little better. I begin to have more sympathy from the girl from District 8 that lit the fire that first night. But now it's me who needs to grit my teeth and tough it out until morning. More leaves, more pine needles. I pull my arms inside my jacket and tuck my knees up to my chest. Somehow, I drift off to sleep. When I open my eyes, the world looks slightly fractured. Takes a minute to realize that the sun must be well up and the glasses are fragmenting my vision. As I sit up and remove them, I hear a laugh somewhere near the lake and freeze. The laugh's distorted, but the fact it's registering at all means that I must regain my hearing. My right ear can hear again, yes, although it's still ringing. As for my left ear, well, at least the bleeding has stopped. I peer through the bushes, afraid the careers have returned, trapping me here for an indefinite time. No, it's Foxface, standing in the rubble of the pyramid, laughing. She's smarter than careers, actually found a few useful items in the ashes. A metal pot, a knife blade. I'm perplexed by her amusement until I realize that with the careers stores eliminated, she might actually stand a chance. Just like the rest of us. It crosses my mind to reveal myself and enlist her as a second ally against that pack, but I rule it out. There's something about that sly grin that makes me sure that befriending Foxface would ultimately get a knife in my back. With that in my head, this might be an excellent time to shoot her, but she's heard something, not me, because her head turns away toward the drop-off, and she sprints for the woods. I wait. No one. Nothing shows up. Still, if Foxface thought it was dangerous, maybe it's time for me to get out of here too. Besides, I'm eager to tell Rue about the pyramid. Since I've no idea where the careers are, the route back by the stream seems as good as any. I hurry, loaded bow in one hand, a hunk of cold grusling in the other, because I'm famished now, and not just for leaves and berries, but for fat and protein in the meat. The trip to the stream is uneventful. Once there, I refill my water and wash, and taking particular care with my injured ear. Then I travel uphill using the stream as a guide. At one point, I find the boot prints in the mud along the bank. The careers have been here, but not for a while. The prints are deep because they were made in soft mud, but down there nearly dry in the hot sun. I haven't been careful enough about my own tracks, counting on the light tread and pine needles to conceal my prints. Now I strip up my boots and socks and go barefooted in the bed of the stream. The cold water has an invigorating effect on my body, my spirits. I shoot 2 fish, easy pickings in the slow-moving stream, and go ahead and eat one raw even though I've just had grusling. I'll save the second for Rue. Gradually, subtly, the ringing in my right ear diminishes until it's gone entirely. I find myself pawing at my left ear periodically, trying to clean away whatever deadens its ability to collect sounds. If there's improvement, it's undetectable. I can't adjust to the deafness in the ear. It makes me feel even more off-balanced and defenseless to my left, blind even. My head keeps turning to the injured side, and if the right ear tries to compensate for the wall of nothingness, where yesterday there was constant flow of information. The more time that passes, the less hopeful I am that this injury will heal. When I reach the site of our first meeting, I feel certain that it's undisturbed. There's no sign of Rue, not in the ground or in the trees. This is odd. By now she should have returned, as it's midday. Undoubtedly she spent the night in a tree somewhere. What else could she do with no light and the careers with the night vision glasses tromping around in the woods? And a third fire she was supposed to set, although I forgot to check it last night, was the furthest from our sight of all. She's probably just being cautious about making her way back. I wish she'd hurry, because I don't want to hang around here too long. I want to spend the afternoon traveling to higher ground, hunting as we go. But there's nothing really for me to do but wait. I wash the blood out of my jacket and hair and clean my ever-growing list of wounds. The burns are much better, but I use every bit of medicine on them anyway. The main thing to worry about now is keeping out infection. I go ahead and eat the second fish. It isn't going to last long in this hot sun. But it should be enough. But it should be easy enough to spear a few more for Rue, if she would just show up. Feeling too vulnerable on the ground with my lopsided hearing, I scale a tree to wait. If the careers show up, this will be a fine place to shoot them from. Hello, welcome in, Raiders. Hello, Sucrose, welcome in, welcome. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Thank you, Ketchup. Thank you, Ketchup, for the follow. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the shout out, Pansy. Thank you. What kind of ASMR were we doing today, Sucrose? Were you just doing just regular? How was it? How did it go? Hi, Sucrose. But in a quiet shout. I love that. That's funny. You guys are funny. Welcome in. Hello, everybody. We are reading The Hunger Games tonight. So if you would like to stick around and listen in while we're at chapter 17 right now. If you would like to stay and listen, you are more than welcome. Doing Night Vale readings and SCP articles. Wow, that sounds awesome. I hope you guys had a good time. You guys are more than welcome to stay, of course, but if you need to raid and run, I also understand. I really appreciate you guys all coming in. I really do. If you need to go and get some water, you need to go get a snack, or you're just like, you know what, I'm done for the internet for the day. I get it. But we're just going to be chill here. If you want to keep stream on and you want to, relax a little bit, that's what this is for. Just to kind of listen to me reading and kind of just chill out. So if you'd like to, that's what we're doing tonight. But thank you guys so much. Oh, I'll do my little intro. My name is Azura the Moon Mage. I'm an interdimensional witch being from another universe, sent here to cause chaos, do research, and I play games while I'm at it. I also do some story reading, which is what I'm doing tonight. And just like ketchup and sucrose, if that is something that you like to do, if that's something that you like, you can go ahead and consider giving me a follow. I'd really appreciate it. Of course. That's exactly what this is for, Sucrose. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All right. Let's get back to the story. We shall. All right. Let's see. Where is it? All right. The sun moves slowly. I do things to pass the time. Chew leaves and apply them to my stings that are deflated but still tender. Comb through my damp hair with my fingers and braid it. Lace my boots back up. Check over my bow and remaining 9 arrows. Test my left ear repeatedly for signs of life, by rustling a rustling a leaf near it, but without good results. Despite the gristling and the fish, my stomach's growling, and I know I'm gonna have to do what we call a hollow day back in District 12. That's a day where no matter what you put in your belly, it's never enough. I have nothing to do but sit in a tree and make it worse, so I decide to give into it. After all, I've lost a lot of weight in the arena. I need some extra calories. I have having the bow and arrows makes it far more confident about my future prospects. I slowly peel and eat a handful of nuts. My last cracker, the gristling neck. That's good because it takes time to pick clean. Finally, a gristling wing and the bird is history. But it's a hollow day, and even with all, I still start daydreaming about food, particularly the decadent dishes served in the capital. The chicken and the creamy orange sauce, the cakes and the pudding, the bread with butter, noodles in a green sauce, the lamb and dried plum stew. I suck on a few mint leaves and tell myself to get over it. Mint is good because we drink mint tea after supper often, so it tricks my stomach into thinking eating time is over. Sort of. Dangling up in the tree, with the sun warming me, a mouthful of mint, my bow and arrows at hand, this is the most relaxed I've been since I've entered the arena. If only Rue would show up and could clear out. As the shadows grow, so does my restlessness. By late afternoon, I've resolved to go looking for her. I can at least visit the spot where she set the third fire and see if there are any clues to her whereabouts. Before I go, I scatter a few mint leaves around our old campfire. Since we've gathered some a distance away, Rue will understand I've been here, while they'll mean nothing to the careers. In less than an hour, I'm at a place where we agreed to have the third fire, and I know something has gone amiss. The wood has been neatly arranged, expertly interspersed with tinder, but it's never been lit. Rue set up the fire, but never made it back here. Somewhere between the second and third column of smoke, I spied before I blew up the supplies. At this point, she ran into trouble. I have to remind myself she's still alive. Or is she? Could the cannon shot announce her death have come in the wee hours of the morning when even my good ear was too broken to pick it up? Will she appear in the sky tonight? No, I refuse to believe it. There could be 100 other explanations, and she could have lost her way, run into a pack of predators or another tribute, like Thresh, and had to hide. Whatever happened, I'm almost certain she's stuck out there, somewhere between the second fire and the unlit one at my feet. Something is keeping her up in a tree. I think I'll go hunt it down. It's a relief to be doing something after sitting all afternoon. I creep silently through the shadows, letting them conceal me, but nothing seems suspicious. There's no sign of any kind of struggle, no disruption of needles on the ground, and I've stopped for a moment when I hear it. I have to cock my head around the side to be sure, but there it is again. Rue's 4-note tune coming out of a mockingjay's mouth, the one that means she's all right. I grin and move in the direction of the bird. Another just a short distance ahead picks up on a handful of notes. Rue has been singing to them, and recently. Otherwise, they'd have taken up some other song. My eyes lift into the trees, searching for a sign of her. I swallow and sing softly back, hoping she'll know it's safe to join me. A mockingjay repeats the melody to me, and that's when I hear the scream. It's a child's scream, a young girl's scream. And there's no one in the arena capable of making that sound except Rue. And now I'm running, knowing this may be a trap, knowing that 3 careers may be poised to attack me, but I can't help myself. There's another high-pitched cry, this time my name. Katniss! Katniss! Rue! I shout back. So she knows I'm near. So they know I'm near. And hopefully the girl who has attacked them with the tracker jackers and gotten an 11, and they still can't explain, will be enough to pull their attention away from her. Rue, I'm coming! When I break into the clearing, she's on the ground, hopelessly entangled in a net. She just has time to reach her hand out through the mesh to say my name before the spear enters her body. The boy from District 1 dies before he can pull out the spear. My arrow drives deeply into the center of his neck. He falls to his knees and halves the brief remainder of his life by yanking out the arrow and drowning in his own blood. I'm reloading, shifting my arm from side to side while I shout at Rue, "Are there more? Are there more?" She has to say no several times before I hear it. Rue has rolled onto her side, her body curved in and around the spear. I shove the boy away from her and pull out my knife, freeing her from the net. I look at the wound and I know it's far beyond my capacity to heal. Beyond anyone's, probably. The spearhead is buried up to the shaft in her stomach. I crouch before her, staring helplessly at the embedded weapon. There is no point in comforting words and telling her she will be all right. She's no fool. Her hand reaches out, and I clutch it like a lifeline, as if it's me who's dying instead of Rue. "You blew up the food?" she whispers. "Every last bit," I say. "You have to win," she says. "I'm going to. Going to win for both of us now. I promise." I hear a cannon and look up. It must be from the boy from District 1. "Don't go." Rue tightens her grip on my hand. "Of course not. Staying right here," I say. I move in closer to her, pulling her head into my lap. I gently brush the hair, thick, dark hair behind her ear. "Sing," she says, but I barely catch the word. "Sing?" I think. "Sing what?" I do know a few songs, and believe it or not, there was one music in my house too. Music I helped make. My father pulled me in with that remarkable voice, but I haven't sung much since he died, except when Prim is sick. Then I sing to her the same song she liked as a baby. Sing. My throat is tight with tears, hoarse from smoke and fatigue. But if this is Rue's last request, I'll have to at least try. The song that comes to me is a simple lullaby, the one we sing fretful, hungry babies to sleep with. It's old, very old, I think. And it's actually the song that played before. Let's see if I can bring it up. Let's see if I can. Okay. I'm going to pull it up. Okay. Slowly but surely, folks. All right. Let's hear Katniss sing it. Let's hear it. Not quite sure where it is, but I can read this. The song that comes to me is a simple lullaby, one we sing fretful, hungry babies to sleep with. It's old, very old, I think, made up long ago in our hills, what my music teacher calls a mountain air. But the words are easy and soothing, promising tomorrow will be hopeful, than this awful piece of time we call today. I give a small cough, swallow hard, and begin. Let's see if I can find. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Rue's eyes have fluttered shut. Her chest moves, but only slightly. My throat releases the tears, and they slide down my cheeks, but I have to finish the song for her. Deep in the meadow, hidden far away, a cloak of leaves, a moonbeam ray. Forget your rose and let your troubles lay. And when again it's morning, they'll wash away. Here it's safe, here it's warm. Here the gazies guard you from every harm. The final lines are barely audible. Here your dreams are sweet, tomorrow brings them true. Here is the place where I love you. Everything's still quiet. Then, almost eerily, the mockingjays take up my song. For a moment, I sit there, watching my tears drip down my face. Rue's cannon fires. I lean forward and press my lips against her temple. Slowly, as if to not wake her, I lay her head back on the ground and release her hand. They'll want me to clear now, so they can collect the bodies. And there's nothing to stay for. I roll the boy from District 1 onto his face, take his pack, and retrieve his arrow that ended his life. I cut Rue's pack from her back as well, knowing she'd want me to have it, but leave the spear in her stomach. Weapons and bodies will be transported in the hovercraft. I have no use for the spear, so the sooner it's gone from the arena, the better. No. I did not. I can't stop looking at Rue, smaller than ever, a baby animal curled up in the nest of netting. I can't bring myself to leave her like this. Past harm, but seemingly utterly defenseless. To hate the boy from District 1, who also appears so vulnerable in death, seems inadequate. It's the capital I hate for doing all of this to all of us. Gale's voice is in my head, his ravings against the capital no longer pointless, no longer to be ignored. Rue's death has forced me to confront my own fury against the cruelty, the injustice they inflict upon us. But here, even more strongly than home, I feel my impotence. There is no way to take revenge on the Capitol, is there? And then I remember Peeta's words on the roof. Only I keep wishing I could think of a way to show the Capitol they don't own me, that I'm more than just a piece in their games. And for the first time, I understand what he means. I want to do something right here, right now, to shame them, to make them accountable, to show the Capitol that whatever they do or force us to do, there is a part, every tribute they can't own. That Rue was more than a piece in their games, and so am I. A few steps into the woods grows a bank of wildflowers. Perhaps they are really weeds of some sort, but their blossoms in beautiful shades of violet and yellow and white. I gather up an armful and come back to Rue's side, slowly, one stem at a time. I decorate her body in the flowers, covering the ugly wound, wreathing her face, weaving her hair with bright colors. They'll have to show it. And even if they choose to turn the cameras elsewhere at this moment, they'll have to bring them back when they collect the bodies, because everyone will see her then and know I did it. I step back and take one last look at Rue. She could really be asleep in that meadow after all. Bye, Rue, I whisper. I press 3 fingers to my left hand against my lips and hold them out to her in her direction. Then I walk away without looking back. The birds fall silent. Somewhere a mockingjay gives a warning whistle that precedes the hovercraft. I don't know how it does. It must hear things that humans can't. I pause, my eyes focused on what's ahead, not what's happening behind me. It doesn't take long, then the dreadful birdsong begins again, and I know she's gone. Another mockingjay, a young one by the looks of it, lands on a branch before me and bursts out Rue's melody. My song, the hovercraft, were too unfamiliar for this novice to pick up, but it seems to have mastered her handful of notes. The one that means she's safe. Good and safe, I say, as I pass underneath a branch. We don't have to worry about her now. Good and safe. I have no idea where to go. My brief sense of home I had that one night with Rue has vanished. My feet wander this way and that until sunset. I'm not afraid, not even watchful, which makes me an easy target, except I'd kill anyone I meet on sight. Without emotion or the slightest tremor in my hands, my hatred of the Capitol has not lessened my hatred of my competitors in the least, especially the careers. They at least can be made to pay for Rue's death. No one materializes, though. There aren't many of us left, and it's a big arena. Soon they'll be pulling out some other devices to force us together. But there isn't enough gore today. But there's been enough gore today. Perhaps we'll even get to sleep. No, I'm about to haul my packs into a tree and make camp when a silver parachute floats down and lands in front of me. A gift from a sponsor? But why now? I've been in fairly good shape with the supplies. Maybe Hamish noticed my despondency and has tried to cheer me up a bit? Or it could be something to help my ear? I open up the parachute and find a small loaf of bread. It's not the fine wine Capitol stuff. It's made of dark ration grain and is shaped like into a crescent. It's sprinkled with seeds. I flash back to Peeta's lesson on various district breads in the trading center. This bread came from District 11. I cautiously lift the still warm loaf. What must it have cost the people of District 11 who can't even feed themselves? How many would have had to do without a scrape of coin to put in the collection for this one loaf? It had been meant for Rue surely, but instead of pulling for the gift when she died, they had authorized Hamish to give it to me. As a thank you? Or because they like me? They don't like to let debts go unpaid. For whatever reason, this is a first. A district gift to a tribute who is not your own. I lift my face and step into the last falling rays of the sunlight. My thanks to people of the District 11, I say. I want them to know I know where it came from, and that the full value of their gift has been recognized. I climb dangerously high into a tree, not for safety, but to get as far away from today as I can. My sleeping bag rolled neatly in Rue's pack. Tomorrow, I'll sort through the supplies. Tomorrow, I'll make a new plan. But tonight, all I can do is strap myself in and take tiny bites of the bread. It's good, and it tastes of home. Soon the seal is in the sky. The anthem plays in my right ear. I see the boy from District 1, Rue. That's all for tonight. 6 of us left, I think. Only 6. With the bread still locked in my hands, I fall asleep at once. Sometimes when things are particularly bad, my brain will give me a happy dream. A visit with my father in the woods, an hour of sunlight, and cake with Prim. Tonight, it sends me Rue, still decked in her flowers, perched high in a sea of trees, trying to teach me to talk to mockingjays. I see no signs of her wounds, no blood, just a bright, laughing girl. She sings songs I've never heard in a clear, melodic voice, on and on through the night. There's a drowsy in-between period when I can hear the last few strains of her music, although she's lost in the leaves. When I fully awaken, I'm momentarily comforted. I try and hold on to the peaceful feeling of the dream, but it quickly slips away, leaving me sadder and lonelier than ever. Heaviness infuses my whole body, as if there's liquid lead in my veins. I've lost the will to do the simplest tasks, to do anything but lie here, staring unblinkingly through the canopy of leaves. Hi, raccoon. Welcome in. For several hours, I remain motionless. As usual, it's the thought of Prim's anxious face as she watches me on the screens back home that breaks me from my lethargy. I give myself a series of simple commands to follow, like, now you have to sit up, Katniss. Now you have to drink water, Katniss. I act on the order with the slow, robotic motions. Now you have to sort the packs, Katniss. Rue's pack holds my sleeping bag, her nearly empty water skin, a handful of nuts and roots, a bit of rabbit, her extra socks, and her slingshot. The boy from District 1 has several knives, two spare spearheads, a flashlight, a small leather pouch, a first aid kit, a full bottle of water, and a pack of dried fruit. A pack of dried fruit out of all he might have chosen from? To me, this is a sign of extreme arrogance. Why bother to carry food when you have such a bounty back at camp? When you will kill your enemies so quickly, you'll be home before you're hungry. I can only hope the other careers traveled so lightly when it came to food and now find themselves with nothing. Speaking of which, my own supplies is running low. I finish off the loaf from District 11 and the last of the rabbit. How quickly the food disappears. All that I have left are Rue's roots and nuts, the boy's dried fruit, and one strip of beef. Now you have to hunt, Katniss, I tell myself. I obediently consolidate my supplies I want into my pack. After I've climbed down the tree, I conceal the boy's knives and spearhead in a pile of rocks so that no one else can use them. I've lost my bearings with what all the wandering around I did yesterday evening, but I try and head back in the general direction of the stream. I know I am on course when I come across Rue's third unlit fire. Shortly thereafter, I discover a flock of roostling perched in the trees and take out 3 before they know what hit them. I return to Rue's fire signal and start it up, not caring about the excessive smoke. Where are you, Cato? I think, as I roast the birds and Rue's roots. I'm waiting for you here. Who knows where the careers are now? Either way, I'm too far for them to reach me, or too sure this is a trick. Or is it possible too scared of me? They know I have bows and arrows, of course. Cato saw me take them from Glimmer's body, but how did they put 2 and 2 together yet? I figured out I blew up the supplies and killed their fellow career. Possibly they think Thresh did this. Wouldn't he be more likely to avenge Rue's death than I would? Being from the same district, not that he ever took any interest in her. What about Foxface? Did she hang around to watch me blow up the supplies? No. When I caught her laughing in the ashes the next morning, it was as if somebody had given her a lovely surprise. I doubt they think PETA has lit this signal fire. Cato's sure he's as good as dead. I find myself wishing that I could tell PETA about the flowers I put on Rue. Now that I understand what he was trying to say on the roof. Perhaps if he wins the games, he'll see me on Victor's night. When they replay the highlights of the game on the screen over the stage where we did our interviews. The winner sits in a place of honor on the platform, surrounded by their support crew. But I told Rue I'd be there, for both of us. And somehow that seems even more important than a vow that I gave Prim. I really think I stand a chance of doing it now, winning. It's not just having the arrows or outsmarting the careers a few times, although those things help. Something happened when I was holding Rue's hand, watching the life drain out of her. Now I am determined to avenge her, to make her loss unforgettable. And I can only do that by winning, and therefore making myself unforgettable. I overcook the birds, hoping someone will show up to shoot, but no one does. Maybe the other tributes are out there beating one another senseless, which would be fine. Ever since the bloodbath, I've been featured on screens more than I care. Eventually, I wrap up my food and go back to the stream to replenish my water and gather some. But the heaviness from the morning drapes back over me, and even though it's only early evening, I climb a tree and settle in for the night. My brain begins to replay the events from yesterday. I keep seeing Rue speared, my arrow piercing the boy's neck. I don't know why I should even care about the boy. Then I realize he was my first kill. Although, with other statistics they report to help people place their bets, every tribute has a list of kills. I guess technically I'd get credited for Glimmer and the girl from District 4 too, for dumping that nest on them. But the boy from District 1 was the first person I knew would die because of my actions. Numerous animals have lost their lives at my hands, but only one human. I hear Gale saying, "How difficult can it be, really?" Amazingly similar in the execution, a bow pulled, an arrow shot. Entirely different in the aftermath. I killed a boy whose name I don't even know. Somewhere his family is weeping for him. His friends call for my blood. Maybe he had a girlfriend who really believed he would come back. But then I think of Rue's still body, and I am able to banish the boy from my mind, at least for now. It's been an uneventful day according to the sky, no deaths. I wonder how long we'll get until the next catastrophe drives us all back together. If it's going to be tonight, I want to get some sleep first. I cover my good ear to block out the strains of the anthem, but then I hear the trumpets and sit straight up in anticipation. Okay, Mason, thank you. Have a good night. For the most part, the only communications the tributes get from the outside the arena is the nightly death toll. But occasionally there will be trumpets followed by an announcement. Usually this will be calls to a feast. When food is scarce, the game makers will invite the players to a banquet, somewhere known to all like the cornucopia, as an inducement to gather and fight. Sometimes there is a feast, sometimes there is nothing but a loaf of stale bread for the tributes to compete for. I wouldn't go in for the food, but this could be an ideal time to take out a few competitors. Claudius Templesmith's voice booms down overhead, congratulating the 6 of us who remain, but he is not inviting us to a feast. He is saying something very confusing. There's been a rule change in the games. A rule change? That in of itself is mind-bending, since we don't even really have rules to speak of except for don't step off your circle for 60 seconds and the unspoken rule about not eating each other. Under the new rule, both tributes from the same district will be declared winners if they are the last 2 alive. Claudius pauses as if he knows we're not getting it and repeats the change again. The news sinks in. 2 tributes can win this year if they're from the same district. Both can live. Both of us can live. Before I can stop myself, I call out Peta's name. They're the only 2. Wait, is it? Oh, District 2 is the other one. Yeah, I think District 2, District 12, and then they have, so that's 4. And then the girl from District 7, Foxface, and then Thresh from District 11. So that's 6. So Thresh and Foxface, they've just kind of gotten a death sentence because now there are 4 people looking to kill them because they're like, oh, we can survive. Both of us can survive. Not that really District 2 probably gave a fuck, but I clap my hands over my mouth. Oh, chapter 19. And part 3 of the book called The Victor. So we're in the last third of the book here. But the sound has already escaped. The sky goes black and I hear a chorus of frogs begin to sing. Stupid! I tell myself, what a stupid thing to do. I wait, frozen, for the woods to come alive with assailants. But then I remember there's almost no one left. Peta, who's been wounded, is now my ally. Whatever doubts about him I had dissipate because if either of us took the other's life now, we'd be pariahs when we return to District 12. In fact, I know if I was watching, I'd loathe any tribute who didn't immediately ally with their district partner. Besides, it just makes sense to protect each other. And in my case, being one of the star-crossed lovers from District 12, it's an absolute requirement if I want any more help from sympathetic sponsors. The star-crossed lovers. Peta must have been playing that angle all along. Why else would the game makers have made this unprecedented change in the rules? For 2 tributes to have a shot at winning, our romance must be so popular with the audience that condemning it would jeopardize the success of the games. No thanks to me. All I've done is manage not to kill Peta. But whatever he's done in the arena, he must have the audience convinced it was to keep me alive. Shaking his head to keep me from running to the cornucopia, fighting Cato to let me escape. Even hooking up with the careers must have been a move to protect me. Peta, as it turns out, has never been a danger to me. The thought makes me smile. I drop my hands and hold my face to the moonlight so the cameras can be sure to catch it. So, who is there left to be afraid of? Foxface? The boy tribute from her district is dead. She's operating alone at night, and her strategy has been to evade, not attack. I don't really think that, even if she heard my voice, she'd do anything but hope someone else would kill me. Then there's Thresh. All right, he is a distinct threat. But I haven't seen him, not once, since the games began. I think about how Foxface grew alarmed when she heard the sound at the sight of the explosion. But she didn't turn to the woods. She turned to whatever lies across from it. To that area of the arena that drops off into, I don't know what. I feel almost certain that the person she ran was Thresh, and that is his domain. Hello, Reaper. Welcome in. How are we? How are we doing? Are we okay? I hope we're okay. I'm reading, so you can have your little wake up story today. I'm also EP. He'd never have heard me from there, but even if he did, I'm too high up for someone of his size to reach. So that leaves Kato and the girl from District 2, who are now surely celebrating this new rule. They're the only ones left who benefit from it beside PETA and myself. Do I run from them now? On the chance they heard me call PETA's name? No, I think. Let them come. Let them come with their night vision glasses, with their heavy branch breaking bodies, right into my range of my arrows. But I know they won't. If they didn't come in the daylight to my fire, they won't risk what could be another trap at night. When they come, it will be on their own terms, and not because I've let them know their whereabouts. Stay put and get some sleep, Katniss, I instruct myself, although I wish I could start tracking PETA now. Tomorrow, you'll find him. I do sleep, but in the morning I'm extra cautious, thinking that while the careers might hesitate to attack me in a tree, they're completely capable of setting off an ambush for me. I make sure to fully prepare myself for the day, eating a big breakfast, securing my pack, readying my weapons before I descend. But all seems peaceful and undisturbed on the ground. Today, I'll have to be scrupulously careful. The careers will know I'm trying to locate PETA. They may well want to wait until I do before they move in. But if he is as badly wounded as Kato thinks, I'd be in a position of having to defend us both without any assistance. But if he's that incapacitated, how has he managed to stay alive? And how on earth will I find him? I try to think of anything PETA ever said that might give me an indication as to where he's hiding out, but nothing rings a bell. So I go back until the last moment I saw him sparkling in the sunlight, yelling for me to run. Then Kato appeared, his sword drawn. And after I was gone, he wounded PETA. But how did PETA get away? Maybe he'd held out better against the Tracker Jacker poison than Kato. Maybe that was the variable that allowed him to escape. But he'd been stung too. So how far could he have gotten, stabbed and filled with venom? And how has he stayed alive all these days since? If the wounds and the stingers haven't killed him, surely the thirst would have taken him by now. And that's when I get my first clue to his whereabouts. He couldn't have survived without water. I know that from my first few days here. He must have hidden somewhere near the source. There's the lake, but I find that's an unlikely option since it's so close to the career's base camp. A few spring-fed pools, but you'd really be a sitting duck at one of those. And the stream, the one that leads to the camp Rue and I made all the way down near the lake and beyond. If he stuck to the stream, he could change his location and always be near water. He could walk in the current and erase any tracks. He might be able to give a fish or two. Well, it's a place to start anyway. To confuse my enemies' minds, I start a fire with plenty of green wood. Even if they think it's a ruse, hopefully they'll decide I'm hidden somewhere near it, when in reality, I'll be tracking PETA. The sun burns off the morning haze almost immediately, and I can tell the day will be hotter than usual. The water's cool and pleasant on my bare feet as I head downstream. I'm tempted to call out PETA's name as I go, but I decide against it. I will have to find him with my eyes and one good ear, or he will have to find me. But he'll know I'll be looking, right? He wouldn't have such a low opinion of me as to think I'd ignore the new rule and keep to myself. Would he? He's very hard to predict, which might be interesting under different circumstances. But at this moment, only provides an extra obstacle. It doesn't take long to reach the spot. Thank you for the hug, Reaper. Where I peeled off to go to the careers camp. And there's no sign of PETA. But this doesn't surprise me. I've been up and down this stretch 3 times since the Tracker Jacker incident. If he were nearby, surely I've had some suspicion of it. The stream begins to curve to the left into the part of the woods that's new to me. Muddy banks covered in tangled water plants lend to large rocks that increase in size until I begin to feel somewhat trapped. It would be no small matter to escape the stream now. Fighting off Kato or Thresh as I climbed over the rocky terrain. In fact, I've just about decided I'm on the wrong track entirely. That a wounded boy would be unable to navigate getting to and from the water source when I see a bloody streak going down the curved boulder. It's long dried now, but the smeary lines running to side suggest someone who perhaps was not in full control of his mental faculties tried to wipe it away. Hugging the rocks, I move slowly in the direction of the blood, searching for him. I find a few more bloodstains, one with a few threads of fabric glued to it, but no signs of life. I break down and say his name in a hushed voice. PETA! PETA! Then a mockingjay lands on a scruffy tree and begins to mimic the tones, so I stop. I give up and I climb down to the stream thinking he must have moved on, somewhere further down. My feet had just broken the surface of the water when I hear a voice. You here to finish me off, sweetheart? I whip around. It's come from my left, so I can't pick it up very well, and the voice was hoarse and weak. Still, it must have been PETA. Who else in this arena would call me sweetheart? My eyes pursue the bank. There's nothing, just mud, and the plants in the base of the rocks. PETA? I whisper. Where are you? There's no answer. Could I have imagined it? No, I'm certain it was real, and very close at hand, too. PETA? I creep along the bank. Well, don't step on me. I jump back. His voice was right under my feet. Still, there's nothing. Then his eyes open, unmistakable blue in the mud brown and green leaves. I gasp and are rewarded with a hint of white teeth as he laughs. It's the final word in camouflage. Forget chucking weights around. PETA should have gone into the private session with the game makers and painted himself into a tree, or a boulder, or a muddy bank full of weeds. Close your eyes again, I order. He does, and his mouth too, and completely disappears. Most of what I judge to be his body is actually under a layer of muds and plants, and his face and arms are so artfully disguised as to be invisible. I kneel beside him. I guess all those hours of decorating cakes paid off. PETA smiles. Yes, frosting. The final defense of the dying. You're not gonna die, I tell him firmly. Says who? His voice is so ragged. Says me. We're on the same team now, you know, I tell him. His eyes open. So I heard. Nice of you to find what's left of me. I pull out my water bottle and give him a drink. Did Kato cut you, I ask? Left leg, up high, he answers. Let's get you into the stream and wash you off so I can see what kind of wounds you've got, I say. Lean down a minute first, he says. I need to tell you something. I lean down and put my good ear to his lips, which tickles as he whispers, Remember, we're madly in love, so it's all right to kiss me anytime you feel like it. I jerk my head back, but end up laughing. Thanks. I'll keep that in mind. At least he's still able to joke around. But when I start to help him to the stream, all the levity disappears. It's only 2 feet away. How hard can it be? Very hard. When I realize he's unable to move an inch on his own. He is so weak that the best he can do is not resist. I try and drag him, but despite the fact that I know he's doing all he can to keep quiet, sharp cries of pain escape him. The mud and plants seem to have imprisoned him, and I finally have to give a gigantic tug to break him free from their clutches. He's still 2 feet from the water, laying there, teeth gritted, tears cutting trails in the dirt on his face. Look, Peta, I'm going to roll you into the stream. It's very shallow here, okay? I say. Excellent, he says. I crouch down beside him. No matter what happens, I tell myself, don't stop until he's in the water. On 3, I say. 1, 2, 3. I can only manage 1 full roll before I have to stop because of the horrible sound he's making. And now he's at the edge of the stream. Maybe this is better anyway. Okay. Change of plans? I'm not going to put you all the way in, I tell him. Besides, if I get him in, who knows if I'll ever be able to get him out. No more rolling, he asks. That's all done. Let's get you cleaned up. Keep an eye on the woods for me, okay? I say. It's hard to know where to start. He's so caked with mud and matted leaves, I can't even see his clothes. If he's wearing clothes. The thought makes me hesitate a moment. But then I plunge in. Naked bodies are no big deal in the arena, right? I've got 2 water bottles and Rue's water skin. I prop them up against rocks in the stream so that 2 are already filled while I pour the 3rd over Peta's body. It takes a while, but I finally rid enough mud to find his clothes. I gently unzip his jacket, unbutton his shirt, and ease them off of him. His undershirt is so plastered onto his wounds that I have to cut it away with my knife and drench him again to work it loose. He's badly bruised with a long burn across his chest and 4 tracker jacker stings. If you can count one under his ear. I feel a bit better. This much I can fix. I decide to take care of his upper body first to alleviate some of the pain before I tackle whatever damage Kato did to his leg. Since treating his wound seems pointless while he's lying in what's become a mud puddle, I manage to prop him up against a boulder. He sits there, uncomplaining, while I wash away all the traces of dirt from his hair and his skin. His flesh is very pale in the sunlight, and he no longer looks strong and stocky. I have to dig the stingers out of his tracker jacker lumps, which causes him to wince. But the minute I apply the leaves, he sighs in relief. While he dries in the sun, I wash his filthy shirt and jacket and spread them over the boulders. Then I apply the burn cream to his chest. This is when I noticed how hot his skin is becoming. The layer of mud and bottles of water have disguised the fact that he's burning with fever. I dig through the first aid kit I got from the boy from District 1 and find pills that reduce your temperature. My mother actually breaks down and buys these on occasion when her home remedies fail. Swallow these, I tell him. He obediently takes the medicine. You must be hungry. Not really. It's funny. I haven't been hungry for days, says Peta. In fact, when I offer him Grusling, he wrinkles his nose at it and turns away. That's when I know how sick he is. Peta, we need to get some food in you, I insist. It'll just come right back up, he says. The best I can do is get him to eat a few bits of dried apple. Thanks. I'm much better, really. Can I sleep, Katniss? Soon, I promise. I need to look at your leg first. Trying to be as gentle as I can, I remove his boots and his socks and then slowly inch his pants off of him. I can see the tear that Cato's sword made in the fabric over his thigh, but it in no way prepares me for what lies underneath. The deep, inflamed gash is oozing both with blood and pus. Blech. The swelling of his leg, and the worst of all, the smell of festering flesh. I want to run away, disappear into the woods like I did that day that we brought the burn victim to our house. Go and hunt while my mother and Prim attend to what I have neither the skill nor the courage to face. But there is no one here but me. I try and capture the calm demeanor my mother assumes when handling the particularly bad cases. Pretty awful, huh? Says PETA. He's watching me closely. So. I shrug like it's no big deal. You should see some of the people they bring my mother from the mines. I refrain from saying how I usually clear out of the house whenever she's treating anything worse than a cold. Come to think of it, I don't even much like being around coughing. First thing is to clean it well. I've left on PETA's undershorts because they're not in bad shape, and I don't want to pull them over a swollen thigh. And all right, maybe the idea of being naked makes me uncomfortable. That's another thing about my mother and Prim. Nakedness has no effect on them. Give them no cause for embarrassment. Ironically, at this point in the games, my little sister would be far more use to PETA than I am. I scoop my square of plastic under him so I can wash down the rest of him. With each bottle I pour over him, the worse the wound looks. The rest of his lower body has fared pretty well. Just one tracker-jacker sting and a few small burns that I can treat quickly. But the gash on his leg, what on earth can I do with that? Why don't we give it some air and then I trail off? And then you'll patch it up, says PETA. He looks almost sorry for me, as if he knows how lost I am. That's right, I say. In the meantime, you eat these. I've put a few dried pear halves in his hand and go into the stream to wash the rest of his clothes. When they're flattened out and drying, I examine the contents of the first aid kit. It's pretty basic stuff. Bandages, fever pills, medicine to calm stomachs. Nothing of the caliber that I need to treat PETA. We're going to have to experiment some, I admit. I know some of the tracker leaves draw out infections, so I start with those. Within minutes of pressing handfuls of chewed up green stuff into the wound, pus begins running down the side of his leg. I tell myself this is a good thing, and I bite the inside of my cheek hard because my breakfast is threatening to make a reappearance. Katniss, PETA says. I meet his eyes, knowing my face must be some shade of green. He mouths the words, "How about that kiss?" I burst out laughing because the whole thing is so revolting I can't stand it. Something wrong? He asks, a little too innocently. I'm no good at this. I'm not my mother, and I have no idea what I'm doing, and I hate pus, I say. Ugh. I allow myself to let out a groan as I wince away the first round of leaves and apply the second. Ugh. How do you hunt? He asks. Trust me, killing things is much easier than this, I said. Although, for all I know, I am killing you. Can you speed it up a little? He asks. No, shut up and eat your pears, I say. After 3 applications of what seems like a bucket of pus, the wound looks better. Now that the swelling has gone down, I can see how deep Cato's sword cut, right down to the bone. What's next, Dr. Everdeen? He asks. Maybe I'll put some of the burn ointment on it. I think it helps with infection anyway, and wrap it up. I do the whole thing, and the whole thing seems a lot more manageable, covering it in a clean white cotton. Although, against that sterile bandage, the hem of his undershorts look filthy and teeming with contagion. I pull out Ruth's backpack. Here, cover yourself with this, and I'll wash your shorts. Oh, I don't care if you see me, says PETA. You're just like the rest of my family, I say. I care, all right? I turn my back and look at the stream until the undershorts splash into the current. He must be feeling a bit better if he can throw. You know, you're kind of squeamish for such a lethal person, says PETA as I beat the shorts clean with 2 rocks. I wish I'd let you give Hamish a shower after all. I wrinkle my nose at the memory. What's he sent you so far? Not a thing, says PETA. Then there's a pause that hits him. Wait, why? Did you get something? Burn medicine, I say almost sheepishly. Oh, and some bread. I always knew you were his favorite, says PETA. Please, he can't stand being in the same room as me, I say. Because you're just alike, mutters PETA. I ignore it, because this isn't really the time for me to be insulting Hamish, which is my first impulse. I let PETA doze off while his clothes dry out, but by late afternoon, I don't dare wait any longer. I gently shake his shoulder. PETA, we have to go now. Go? He seems confused. Go where? Away from here. Downstream, maybe? Somewhere we can hide you until you're stronger, I say. I help him dress, leaving his feet bare so we can walk in the water. I pull him upright. His face drains of color the moment he puts weight on his leg. Come on, you can do this. But he can't. Not for long anyway. We make it about 50 yards downstream with him propped up on my shoulder, and I can tell he's going to black out. I sit him on the bank and push his head between his knees and pat his back awkwardly as I surveyed the area. Of course, I'd love to get him up in a tree, but that is not going to happen. It could be worse, though. Some of the rocks form small cave-like structures. I set my sights on one about 20 yards above the stream. When PETA is able to stand, I half guide, half carry him to the cave. Really, I'd like to look around for a better place, but this one will have to do because my ally is shot. Paper white, panting, and even though it's just cooling off, he's shivering. I cover the floor in the cave with a layer of pine needles and unroll my sleeping bag and tuck him into it. I get a couple of pills and some water for him, and when he's not noticing, and some water in him when he's not noticing, but refuses to even eat the fruit. Then he just lies there, his eyes trained on my face as I build some sort of blind out of the vines to conceal the mouth of the cave. The result is unsatisfactory. An animal might not question it, but a human would see hands had manufactured it quick enough. I tear it down in frustration. Katniss, he says. I go over to him and brush the hair back from his eyes. Thanks for finding me. You would have found me if you could, I say. His forehead's burning up, like the medicine is having no effect on him at all. Suddenly, out of nowhere, I'm scared he's going to die. Yes. Look, if I don't make it back, he begins. Don't talk like that. I didn't drain all that pus for nothing, I say. I know, but just in case I don't, he tries to continue. No, PETA, I don't want to even discuss it, I say, placing my fingers on his lips to quiet him. But he insists. Impulsively, hello, Tobias, welcome in. Thank you for the first time chat. We're reading a book today. It's The Hunger Games. I hope that you'll stay and listen and enjoy. And thank you very much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Impulsively, I lean forward and kiss him, stopping his words. This is probably overdue anyway, since he's right. We are supposed to be madly in love. It's the first time I've ever kissed a boy, which should make some sort of impression, I guess. But all I can register is on how unnaturally hot his lips are from the fever. I break away and pull the edge of the sleeping bag around him. You're not going to die. I forbid it. All right? All right, he whispers. I step out into the cool evening air just as the parachute floats down from the sky. My fingers quickly undo the tie, hoping for some real medicine to treat PETA's leg. Instead, I find a pot of hot broth. Hamish couldn't send me a clearer message. One kiss equals one pot of broth. I can almost hear his snarl. You're supposed to be in love, sweetheart. The boy's dying. Give me something I can work with. And he's right. If I want to keep Peter alive, gotta give the audience something more to care about. Star-crossed lovers desperate to get home together. Two hearts beating as one. Romance. Never having been in love, this is going to be a real trick. I think of my parents. The way my father never failed to bring my mother gifts from the woods. The way my mother's face would light up at the sound of his boots at the door. The way she almost stopped living when he died. Peter, I say, trying for that special tone that my mother used only with my father. He's dozed off again, but I kiss him awake, which seems to have startled him. Then he smiles, as if he'd happy to lay there and gaze at me forever. He's great at this stuff. I hold up the pot. Peter, look what Hayden just sent you. All right. Chapter 20. Getting the broth into Peter takes an hour of coaxing, begging, threatening, and yes, kissing. But finally, sip by sip, he empties the pot. I let him drift off to sleep then and attend to my own needs, wolfing down a supper of grusling and roots while I watch the daily report in the sky. No new casualties. Still, Peter and I have given the audience a fairly interesting day. Hopefully, the game makers will allow us a peaceful night. Automatically, I look around for a good tree to nest in before I realize that's over, at least for a while. I can't very well leave Peter unguarded on the ground. Hold on. All right. Sorry. I left the scene of his last hiding place on the bank of the stream untouched. How could I conceal it? And we're a scant 50 yards downstream. I put on my glasses, and I place the weapon at readiness, and I settle down to keep watch. The temperature drops rapidly, and soon I am chilled to the bone. Eventually, I give in and slide into the sleeping bag with Peter. It's toasty warm, and I snuggle down gratefully until I realize it's more than warm. It's overly hot because the bag is reflecting back his fever. I check his forehead and find it burning and dry. I don't know what to do. I leave him in the bag and hope the excessive heat breaks the fever. Take him out and hope the night air cools him off. I end up just dampening a strip of bandage and placing it on his forehead. This seems weak, but I am afraid to do anything too drastic. I spend the night half sitting, half laying next to Peter. Refreshing the bandage, I try not to dwell on the fact that by teaming up with him, I've made myself far more vulnerable than when I was alone. Tethered to the ground, on guard, with a sick person, very sick person, to take care of. But I knew he was injured, and I still came after him. But I'm just going to have to trust with whatever instincts sent me to find him was a good one. When the sky turns rosy, I notice a sheen of sweat on Peter's lips and discover his fever has broken. He's not back to normal, but he's come down a few degrees. Last night, when I was gathering vines, I came upon the bush of rose berries, and I stripped off the fruit and mashed it into the broth pot with cold water. Peter's struggling to get up when I reached the cave. I woke up and you were gone, he said. I was worried about you. I have to laugh as I ease him back down. You were worried about me? Have you taken a good look at yourself lately? I thought Cato and Clove must have found you. They like to hunt at night, he says, still serious. Clove? Which one is that? I ask. The girl from District 2. She's still alive, right? He says. Yeah, so there's just them, us, Thresh, and Foxface, I say. That's what I nicknamed the girl from 5. Sorry, not 7, 5. How do you feel? Better than yesterday. This is an enormous improvement over the mud. Clean clothes and medicine and a sleeping bag. And you. Oh, right, the whole romance thing. I reach out to touch his cheek, and he catches my hand and presses it against his lips. I remember my father doing the very thing to my mother, and I wonder where Peter picked it up. Surely not from his father and the witch. No more kisses for you until you've eaten, I say. We get him propped up against the wall, and he obediently swallows the handful of berry mush I feed him. He refuses the grusling again, though. You didn't sleep, Peter says. I'm all right, I say, but the truth is, I'm exhausted. Sleep now. I'll keep watch. I'll wake you if anything happens, he says. I hesitate. Katniss, you can't stay up forever. He's got a point there. I'll have to sleep eventually, and probably better to do it now when he seems relatively alert and we have daylight on our side. All right, I say, but just for a few hours. Then you wake me. It's too warm for the sleeping bag now. I smooth it out on the cave floor and lie down, one hand on my loaded bow in case I have to shoot at a moment's notice. Peter sits beside me, leaning against the wall, his bad legs stretched out before him, his eyes trained on the world outside. Go to sleep, he says softly. His hand brushes the loose strands of hair off my forehead. Unlike the staged kisses and caresses so far, this gesture seems so natural and comforting. I don't want him to stop, and he doesn't. He's still stroking my hair when I fall asleep. Too long. I sleep too long. I know from the moment I open my eyes and we're into the afternoon. Peter's right beside me, his position unchanged. I sit up feeling somehow defensive, but better rested than I've been in days. Peter, you were supposed to wake me after a couple of hours, I say. For what? Nothing's going on here, he says. Besides, I like watching you sleep. You don't scowl. It improves your look a lot. This, of course, brings on a scowl that makes him grin. That's when I notice how dry his lips are. I test his cheek, hot as a coal stove. He claims he's been drinking, but the container still feels full to me. I give him more fever pills and stand over him while he drinks the first one, then a second quart of water. Then I tend to his minor wounds, the burns, the stings, which are showing improvement. I steel myself and unwrap his leg. My heart drops into my stomach. It's worse. Much worse. There's no more pus in evidence, but the swelling has increased and his tight, shiny skin is inflamed. Then I see the red streaks trying to crawl up his leg. Blood poisoning. Unchecked, it will kill him for sure. My chewed up leaves and ointment won't make a dent in it. We'll need strong anti-infection drugs from the capital, and I can't imagine the cost of such potent medicine. If Hamish pooled every donation from every sponsor, would he even have enough? I doubt it. Gifts go up in price the longer the games continue. What buys a full meal on day 1 buys crackers on day 12. And the kind of medicine PETA needs would be at a premium from the beginning. Well, there's more swelling, but the pus is gone, I say in an unswelly voice. I know what blood poisoning is, Katniss, says PETA, even if my mother isn't a healer. You're just going to have to outlast the others, PETA. They'll cure it. Back at the Capitol when we win, I say. That's a good plan, he says, but I feel this is mostly for my benefit. You have to eat. Keep your strength up. I'm going to go make you soup. Don't light a fire, he said. It's not worth it. We'll see, I say. As I take the pot down to the stream, I'm struck by how brutally hot it is. I swear the game makers are progressively ratcheting up the temperature in the daytime and sending it plummeting at night. The heat of the sun-baked stones by the stream gives me an idea, though. Maybe we don't need to light a fire. I settle down on a big flat rock halfway between the stream and the cave. After purifying a half a pot of water, I place it in direct sunlight and add several egg-sized stones to the water. I am the first to admit I'm not much of a cook. But since soup mainly involves tossing everything in a pot and waiting, it's one of my better dishes. I mince grusling, until it's practically mush, and mash some of Rue's roots. Fortunately, they've been roasted already, so they're mostly just need to be heated up. Already between the sunlight And the rocks, the water's warm. I put the meat in the roots and swap in fresh rocks and go find something green to spice it up a little. Before long, I discover a tuft of chives growing at the base of some rocks. Perfect. I chop them up very fine and add them to the pot. Switch out the rocks again and put on a lid, and then let the whole thing stew. I've seen a few signs of game going around, but I don't feel comfortable leaving PETA alone while I hunt. So I rig a half a dozen snares and hope I get lucky. I wonder about the other tributes, how they're managing now that their main source of food has been blown up. At least 3 of them, Cato, Clove, and Foxface, have been relying on it. Probably not Thresh, though. I've got a feeling he must share some of Rue's knowledge on how to feed yourself from the earth. Are they fighting each other? Looking for us? Maybe one of them has located us and just waiting for the right moment to attack. The idea sends me back into the cave. PETA stretched out on top of the sleeping bag in the shade of the rocks. Although he brightens a bit when I come in, it's clear he feels miserable. I put cool cloths on his head, but they warm up as soon as they touch his skin. Do you want anything? No, he says. Thank you. Wait, yes. Tell me a story. A story? What about? I say. I'm not much for storytelling. It's kind of like singing. But once in a while, Prim wheedles one out of me. Something happy. Tell me about the happiest day you can remember, says PETA. Something between a sigh and a huff of his exasperation leaves my mouth. A happy story? This will require a lot more effort than the soup. I rack my brain for good memories. Most of them involve Gale and me hunting, and somehow I don't think that will play well to either PETA or the audience. That leaves Prim. Did I ever tell you how I got Prim's goat? I ask. PETA shakes his head and looks at me expectantly. So I begin, but carefully, because my words are going out all over Penem. And while I have no doubt put 2 and 2 together that I hunt illegally, I didn't want them to hurt Gale or Gracie Say, or the butcher, or even the peacekeepers back home, who are my customers, by publicly announcing they're breaking the law too. Here's the real story about how I got Prim's money for the goat lady. It was Friday evening, the day before Prim's 10th birthday in late May. Her 10th birthday. As soon as school ended, Gale and I hit the woods because I wanted to get enough to trade for a present for Prim. Maybe some new cloth for a dress or a hairbrush. Our snares had done well enough that the woods were flush with greens. But this was really no more than an average Friday night's haul. I was disappointed as we headed back, even though Gale said we'd be sure to do better tomorrow. We were resting for a moment by a stream when we saw him, a young buck, probably a yearling by his size. His antlers are just growing in, still small and coated in velvet, poised to run but unsure of us, unfamiliar with humans. Beautiful. Less beautiful, perhaps, when 2 arrows caught him, one in the neck, the other in the chest. Gale and I had shot him at the same time. The buck tried to run, but stumbled, and Gale's knife slit his throat before he knew what had happened. Momentarily, I'd felt a pain of guilt at killing something so fresh and innocent. Then my stomach rumbled at the thought of all the fresh and innocent meat. A deer! Gale and I had only brought down 3 in all. The first one, a doe, had injured her leg somehow and almost didn't count. But we knew from that experience to not drag the carcass into the hob. It caused chaos with people bidding on parts and actually trying to hack off pieces themselves. Greasy Say had intervened and sent us with our deer to the butcher, but not before it had been badly damaged, hunks of meat taken, and the hide riddled with holes. Although everybody had paid us fairly, it had lowered the value of the kill. This time, we waited until dark fell and slipped under the hole in the fence, close to the butcher. Even though we were known hunters, it wouldn't have been good to go carrying a 150-pound deer through the streets of District 12 in daylight like we were rubbing in the officials' faces. The butcher, a short, chunky woman named Ruba, came to the back door when we knocked. You don't haggle with Ruba. She gives you one price. You can take it or leave it, but it's a fair price. We took her offer on the deer, and she threw in a couple of venison steaks we could pick up after the butchering. Even with the money divided in two, neither Gail or I had held so much at one time in our lives. We decided, thank you so much, Alpha Koki, for the follow. Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it. We're reading Hunger Games. If you'd like to stay and listen, you can type in chat too, but I'm going to be reading. We decided to keep it a secret and surprise our families with the meat and money at the end of the next day. This is where I really got the money for the goat. But I tell PETA I sell an old silver locket of my mother's. That can't hurt anyone. And then I pick up the story in late afternoon on Prim's birthday. Gail and I went to the market on the square so I could buy dress materials. As I was running my fingers over a thick blue cotton cloth, something caught my eye. There's an old man who keeps a small herd of goats on the other side of the seam. I don't know his real name. Everyone just calls him the Goat Man. Goat Man? Guys, it's Goat Man. He made his way into the Hunger Games books. That's funny. His joints are swollen and twisted in painful angles, and he's got a hacking cough that proves he spent years in the mines. But he's lucky. Somewhere along the way, he saved up enough for these goats and now has something in his old age besides his slow starve to death. He's filthy and impatient, but the goats are clean and their milk is rich if you can afford it. One of the goats, a white one with black patches, was laying down in a cart. It's easy to see why. Something, probably a dog, had mauled her shoulder and infection had set in. It was bad. The goat man had to hold her up to milk her, but I thought I knew someone who could fix it. Gail, I whispered, I want that goat for Prim. Owning a nanny goat could change your life in District 12. The animals can live off almost anything. The seam is a perfect feeding place, and they can get 4 quarts of milk a day. To drink, to make cheese, to sell, it's not even against the law. She's hurt pretty bad, said Gail. We better take a closer look. We went over and bought a cup of milk to share, and then stood over the goat as if idly curious. Let her be, said the man. Just looking, said Gail. Well, look fast. She goes to the butcher soon. Hardly anyone will buy her milk, and then they'll only pay half the price. What's the butcher giving for her? The man shrugged. Hang around and see. I turned and saw Ruba coming across the square toward us. Lucky thing you showed up, said the goat man when she arrived. Girl's got her eye on your goat. Not if she's spoken for her, I say carelessly. Ruba looked me up and down and then frowned at the goat. She's not. Look at that shoulder. Bet you half the carcass is too rotten to even sausage. What? Said the goat man. We had a deal. We had a deal on an animal with a few teeth marks. Not that thing. Sell her to the girl if she's stupid enough to take her, said Ruba. As she marches off, I catch her wink. The goat man was mad, but he still wanted that goat off his hands. It took a half an hour to agree on the price. Quite a crowd had gathered by then to hand out opinions. It was an excellent deal if the goat had lived. I had been robbed if she died. People took sides in the argument, but I took the goat. Gail offered to carry her. I think he wanted to see the look on Prim's face as much as I did. In a moment of complete giddiness, I bought a pink ribbon and tied it around her neck. Then we hurried back to my house. You should have seen Prim's reaction when we walked in with the goat. Remember, this is the girl who wept to save that awful old cat, Buttercup. She was so excited and started crying and laughing all at once. My mother was less sure, seeing the injury, but the pair of them went to work on it, grinding herbs and coaxing brews down the animal's throat. They sound like you, says PETA. I had almost forgotten he was there. Oh, no, PETA. They work magic. That thing couldn't have died if it tried, I say. But then I bite my tongue, realizing what that must sound like to PETA, who is dying, in my incompetent hands. Don't worry. I'm not trying. He chokes. Finish the story. Well, that's it. I only remember that night, Prim insisting on sleeping with the lady on a blanket next to the fire. And just before they drifted off, the goat licked her cheek, and like it was giving her a good night kiss or something, I say. It was already mad about her. Was it still wearing the pink ribbon? He asks. I think so, I say. Why? I'm just trying to get a picture, he says thoughtfully. I can see why the day made you happy. Well, I knew that goat would be a little gold mine, I say. Yes, of course I was referring to that. Not the lasting joy you gave your sister you loved so much you took her place in the reaping, says Peeta dryly. The goat has paid for himself several times over, I say in a superior tone. Well, it wouldn't dare do anything else after you save its life, says Peeta. I intend to do the same thing. Really? What did it cost me again? I asked. A lot of trouble. Don't worry. You'll get it all back. He says, You're not making any sense. I say. I test his forehead. The fever's going nowhere but up. You're a little cooler, though. The sound of the trumpet startles me. I am on my feet and at the mouth of the cave in a flash, not wanting to miss a syllable. It's my new friend, Claudius Templesmith. And as I expected, he's inviting us to a feast. Well, we're not that hungry, and I actually wave his offer away in indifference when he says, Now hold on. Some of you may be already declining my invitation, but this is no ordinary feast. Each of you needs something desperately. I do need something desperately. Something to heal Peeta's leg. Each of you will find something in a backpack, marked with your district number, at the cornucopia at dawn. I think hard about refusing to show up. For some of you, this will be your last chance, says Claudius. There's nothing else. Just his words hanging in the air. I jump as Peeta grips my shoulder from behind. No, he says. You're not risking your life for me. Who said I was? I say. So you're not going? He asks. Of course I'm not going. Give me some credit. Do you think I'm running straight into a free-for-all against Cato and Clove and Thresh? Don't be stupid, I say, helping him back to bed. I'll let them fight it out, and we'll see who's who in the sky tomorrow, and work out a plan from there. You're such a bad liar, Katniss. I don't know how you survived this long. He tries to make me. I knew that little goat would be a gold mine. You're a little cooler, though. Of course I'm not going. He shakes his head. Never gamble at cards. You'll lose your last coin, he says. Anger flushes my face. All right, I am going, and you can't stop me. I can follow you, at least part way. I may not make it to the cornucopia, but if I'm yelling your name, I bet someone can find me. And then I'll be dead for sure, he says. You won't get 100 yards from here on that leg, I say. Then I'll drag myself, says Peeta. You go, I am going too. He's just stubborn enough to make sure, and maybe just strong enough to do it. Come howling after me in the woods. Even if a tribute doesn't find him, something else might. He can't defend himself, and I'd probably have him wall up in the cave. I'd probably have to wall him up in the cave just to go by myself. But who knows what the exertion will do to him. What am I supposed to do? Sit here and watch you die? I say. He must know that's not an option. That the audience would hate me, and frankly, I would hate myself too, if I didn't even try. I won't die, I promise. If you promise not to go, he says. We're at somewhat of a stalemate. I know I can't argue with him out of this one, so I don't try. I pretend, reluctantly, to go along. Then you have to do what I say. Drink your water, wake me when I tell you, and eat every bite of soup no matter how disgusting it is, I snap at him. Agreed. Is it ready? He asks. Wait here, I say. The air's gone cold, even now that the sun's still up. I'm right about the game makers messing with the temperature. I wonder if the thing something needed desperately is a good blanket. The soup is still nice and warm in its iron pot. It actually doesn't taste too bad. Peeta eats without complaint, even scraping out the pot to show his enthusiasm. He rambles on about how delicious it is, which should be encouraging if you don't know what fever does to people. He's like listening to Haymitch before the alcohol has soaked him into incoherence. I give him another dose of fever medicine before he goes off his head completely. As I go down to the stream to wash up, all I can think of is that he's going to die if I don't get to that feast. I'll keep him going for a day or two, and then the infection will reach his heart or his brain or his lungs and he'll be gone. And I'll be here all alone, again, waiting for the others. I am so lost in thought that I almost miss the parachute, even though it floats right by me. Then I spring for it, yanking it from the water and tearing off the silver parachute to retrieve the vial. Haymitch has done it. He's gotten the medicine. I don't know how. Persuaded some of the gaggle of romantic fools to sell their jewels, but I can save Peeta. Such a tiny vial, though. It must be very strong to cure someone as ill as Peeta. A ripple of doubt runs through me. I uncork the vial and give it a deep sniff. My spirits fall at the sickly sweet scent. Just to be sure, I place a drop at the tip of my tongue. There's no question, it's sleep syrup. It's common medicine in District 12. Cheap as the medicines go, but very addictive. Almost everyone has had a dose at one time or another. We have some in a bottle at home. My mother gives it to hysterical patients to knock them out, to stitch up a bad wound or quiet their minds just to help someone in pain get through the night. This only takes a little, and a vial this size could knock out Peeta for a full day. But what good is that? I'm so furious I'm about to throw Haymitch's last offering into the stream when it hits me. A full day. That's more than I need. I mash up a handful of berries so the taste won't seem noticeable and add some mint leaves for good measure. Then I head back to the cave. I brought you a treat. I found a new patch of berries a little further downstream. Peeta opens his mouth in the first bite without hesitation. He swallows, then frowns slightly. They're very sweet, he says. Yes, they're sugar berries. My mother makes jam from them. Have you ever had them before? I say, poking the next spoonful into his mouth. No, he says, almost puzzled, but they taste familiar. Sugar berries? Well, you can't get them in the market much. They only grow wild, I say. Another mouthful goes down, just one more. They're as sweet as syrup, he says, taking the last spoonful. Syrup. His eyes widen as he realizes the truth. I clamp my hand over his mouth and nose hard, forcing him to swallow instead of spit. He tries to make himself vomit the stuff up, but it's too late. He's already losing consciousness. Even as he fades away, I can see in his eyes what I've done is unforgivable. I sit back on my heels and look at him with a mixture of sadness and satisfaction. A stray berry stains his chin, and I wipe it away. Who can't lie, Peeta? I say, even though he can't hear me. It doesn't matter to me. The rest of Panem can. Okay, let's see. All right, one more chapter, and we'll call it a night. Hello, robot sidekick. Welcome in. You're going to park yourself right here? Sounds good. All right, one more chapter, and then we'll be good. And then we'll call it a night. We'll call it a night. All right. In the remaining hours before nightfall, I gather rocks and do my best to camouflage the opening of the cave. It's a slow and arduous process, but after a lot of sweating and shifting things around, I'm pretty pleased with my work. The cave now appears to be a part of a larger pile of rocks, like so many in the vicinity. I can still crawl in to Peeta through a small opening, but it's undetectable from the outside. That's good, because I'll need to share that sleeping bag again tonight. Also, if I don't make it back from the feast, Peeta will be hidden but not entirely imprisoned. Although I doubt he can hang on for much longer without medicine. Hi, Ramen. I don't think this happened in the original book, or at least I don't. Yeah, it did. I'm reading from the original book. Yeah, I'm reading from the original book. This book predates the movie. Let's see. Yeah, this book is a 2008 print. So it's the original printing. Promise. Swear, cross my heart. But yeah, there were some things that I forgot. Like I forgot that the butcher had a name. Her name is Ruba. I did not even know that. I forgot. And I've read this book like 3 or 4 times. All right. If I die at the feast, District 12 isn't likely to have a victor. I make a meal out of the smaller, bonier fish that inhabit the stream down here. Fill every water container and purify it, and clean my weapons. I have 9 arrows left in all. I debate leaving the knife with PETA so he'll have some protection while I'm gone, but there's really no point. He was right to camouflage being his final defense. But I still might have use for the knife. Who knows what I'll encounter? Here are some things I'm fairly certain of. That at least Cato, Clove, and Thresh will be on hand when the feast starts. I'm not sure about Foxface, since direct confrontation isn't her style or forte. She's even smaller than I am, unarmed, and unless she's picked up some weapons recently, she'll probably be hanging somewhere nearby. Seeing what she can scavenge. But the other 3, I'm going to have my hands full. My ability to kill at a distance is my greatest asset, but I know I'll have to go right into the thick of it to get that backpack, the one with the number 12 on it that Claudius Templesmith mentioned. I watch the sky, hoping for one less opponent at dawn, but nothing appears tonight. Tomorrow will be faces up there. Feasts always result in fatalities. I crawl into the cave, secure my glasses, and curl up next to PETA. Luckily, I had a good long day's sleep today. I have to stay awake. I don't really think anyone will attack our cave tonight, but I can't risk missing the dawn. So cold, so bitterly cold tonight, as if the game makers had sent an infusion of frozen air across the arena, which may be exactly what they've done. I lay next to PETA in the bag, trying to absorb every bit of his fever heat. It's strange to be so physically close to somebody who's so distant. PETA may as well be back in the capital, or in District 12. Or on the moon right now. He'd be no harder to reach. I've never felt lonelier since the games began. Just accept it will be a bad night, I tell myself. I try not to, but I can't help thinking of my mother and Prim and wonder if they'll sleep a wink tonight. At this late stage in the games, with an important fete like the feast, school will probably be canceled. My family can either watch on the static-filled old clunker of a television at home or join the crowds in the square to watch on the big, clear screens. They'll have privacy at home, but support in the square. People will give them a kind word, a bit of food if they can spare it. I wonder if the baker has sought them out, especially now that PETA and I are a team. And made good on his promise to keep my sister's belly full. Spirits must be hunting high in District 12. We are so rarely to have anyone to root for at this point in the games. Surely people are excited about PETA and me, especially now that we're together. If I close my eyes, I can imagine their shouts on the screens, urging us on. I see their faces, Greasy Say, and Madge, and even the peacekeepers who buy my meat, cheering for us. And Gale. I know him. He won't be shouting and cheering, but he'll be watching every moment, every twist and turn, and willing me to come home. I wonder if he's hoping that PETA makes it as well. Gale's not my boyfriend, but would he be if I opened that door? He talked about us running away together. Was that a practical calculation of our chances of survival from the district? Or something more? I wonder what he makes of all this kissing. Through a crack in the rocks, I watch the moon cross over the sky. At what I judge to be about 3 hours before dawn, I begin to make final preparations. I'm careful to leave Peter with water, the medical kit right beside him, and nothing else will be of much use if I don't return. Even these would only prolong his life for a short time. After some debate, I strip him of his jacket and zip it down over my own. He doesn't need it. Not now in the sleeping bag with his fever and during the day. If I'm not there to remove it, he'll be roasting in it. My hands are already stiff from cold, so I take Rue's spare pair of socks, cut holes for my fingers and thumbs, and put them on. It helps anyway. I fill her small pack with food, a water bottle, bandages, and I tuck the knife into my belt and get my bow and arrows. I'm about to leave when I remember the importance of sustaining the star-crossed lover routine, and I lean over and give Peeta a long, lingering kiss. I imagine the teary sighs emanating from the capital and pretend to brush away a tear of my own. Then I squeeze through the opening in the rocks out into the night. My breath makes small white clouds as it hits the air. It's as cold as a November night at home. One where I had slipped into the woods, lantern in hand, to join Gale on some prearranged place where we'll sit bundled together, sipping herb tea from metal flasks wrapped in a quilting, hopping game will pass our way as the morning comes on. Oh, Gale, I think. If only you had my back now. I move as fast as I dare. The glasses are quite remarkable, but I still sorely miss having the use of my left ear. I don't know what the explosion did, but it damaged something deep and irreparable. Never mind. If I get home, I'll be so stinking rich, I'll probably be able to pay someone to do my hearing. The woods always look so different at night. Even with glasses, everything has an unfamiliar slant to it. As if the daylight and the trees and flowers and stones had gone to bed and sent slightly more ominous versions of themselves to take their places. I don't try anything tricky, like taking a new route. I make my way back up the stream and follow the same path back to Rue's hiding place near the lake. Along the way, I see no signs of another tribute, not a puff of breath, not a quiver of a branch. Either I'm the first to arrive or the others positioned themselves last night. There is still more than an hour, maybe 2, when I wriggle into the underbrush and wait for the blood to begin to flow. I chew a few mint leaves. My stomach isn't up for much more. Thank goodness I have Peeta's jacket as well as my own. If not, I'd be forced to move around to stay warm. The sky turns a misty morning gray, and there's still no sign of other tributes. It's not surprising, really. Everyone has distinguished themselves either by strength or deadliness or cunning. Do they suppose, I wonder, that I have Peeta with me? I doubt Foxface and Thresh would even know that he's wounded. All the better if they think he's covering me when I go in for the backpack. But where is it? The arena has lightened enough for me to remove my glasses. I can hear the morning birds singing. Is it time? For a second, I'm panicked that I'm at the wrong location. But no, I'm certain I remember Claudius Temple-Smith specifying the cornucopia. And there it is, and here I am. So where's my feast? Just as the first ray of sun glints off the gold cornucopia, there's a disturbance on the plain. The ground before the mouth of the horn splits into 2, and a round table with snowy white cloth rises into the arena. On the table sits 4 backpacks, 2 large black ones with the numbers 2 and 11, a medium green one with the number 5, and a tiny orange one. Really, I could carry it around my wrist. That must be marked with a 12. The table just clicked into place when a figure darts out from the cornucopia, snags the green backpack, and speeds off. Foxface, leave her to come up with such a clever and risky idea. The rest of us are still poised around the plane, sizing up the situation, and she's got hers. She's got us trapped too, because no one would chase her down, not while their own pack sits so vulnerable on the table. Foxface must have purposefully left the other packs alone knowing that to steal one without her number would definitely bring her on a pursuer. That would have been my strategy. By the time I would have worked through the emotions of surprise, admiration, anger, jealousy, and frustration, I'm watching that reddish mane of hair disappear into the trees and well out of shooting range. Huh. I'm also dreading the others, but maybe Foxface is the real opponent here. She cost me time, too, because now it's clear that I must get to the table next. Anyone who beats me to it will easily scoop up my pack and be gone. Without hesitation, I sprint for the table. I can sense the emergence of danger before I see it. Fortunately, the knife comes whizzing by my right side so I can hear it, and am able to deflect it with my bow. I turn, drawing back the bowstring, and send an arrow flying straight at Clove's heart. She turns just enough to avoid the fatal blow, but the point punctures her upper left arm. Unfortunately, she throws with her right, but it's enough to slow her down for a few moments. Having to pull the arrow from her arm, take in the severity of the wound, and I keep moving, positioning the next arrow automatically, as someone who has hunted for years can do. I'm at the table now, my fingers closing over the tiny orange backpack. My hand slips between the straps, and I yank it onto my arm. It is really too small to fit on any other part of my anatomy. I am turning to fire again when a second knife catches me in the forehead. It slices just above my right eyebrow, opening a gash that sends a gush running down my face, blinding my eye, filling my mouth with sharp metallic taste of my own blood. I stagger backward, and I still manage to send my readied arrow into the general direction of my assailant. As I know as much as it leaves my hands, it will miss. And then Clove slams into me, knocking me flat on my back, pinning my shoulders to the ground with her knees. This is it, I think. I hope for Prim's sake it will be fast. But Clove means to savor the moment. Even feels she has time. No doubt Cato is somewhere nearby, guarding her, waiting for Fresh and possibly PETA. "Where's your boyfriend, District 12? Still hanging on?" she asks. "Well, as long as we're talking, I'm alive." "He's out here now, hunting Cato," I snarl at her. Then I scream at the top of my lungs, "PETA!" Clove jams her fist into my windpipe, very effectively cutting off my voice. But her head whips from one side to side. I know for a moment she's at least considering I'm telling the truth. Since no PETA appears to save me, she turns back to me. "Liar," she says with a grin. "He's nearly dead. Cato knows where he cut him. You've probably got him strapped down to a tree while you're trying to keep his heart going. What's in that pretty little backpack? That medicine for Loverboy? Too bad he'll never get it." Clove opens her jacket. It's lined with an impressive array of knives. She carefully selects an almost dainty-looking number with a cruel, curved blade. "I promised Cato if he let me have you, I'd give the audience a good show." I'm struggling now in an effort to unseat her, but it's no use. She's too heavy, and her lock on me is too tight. "Forget it, District 12. We're gonna kill you, just like we did your pathetic little ally. What was her name? The one who hopped around in the trees? Rue? Well, first Rue, then you. And then I think we'll just let nature take care of Loverboy. How does that sound?" Clove asks. Now, where to start? She clearly swipes the blood from my wound with her jacket sleeve, and for a moment she surveys my face, tilting it from side to side, as if it were a block of wood that she had decided exactly what pattern to carve on it. I attempt to bite her hand, but she grabs the hair on the top of my head, forcing it back into the ground. "I think," she almost purrs, "I think we'll start with your mouth." I clamp my teeth together as she teasingly traces the outline of my lips with the tip of the blade. I won't close my eyes. The comment about Rue has me filled with fury. Enough fury, I think, to die with some dignity. As of my last act of defiance, I will stare her down as long as I can see, which will probably not be an extended period of time, but I will stare her down. And I will not cry out. I will die in my own small way, undefeated. "Yes, I don't think you'll have much use for these lips anymore. Want to blow Loverboy one last kiss?" she asks. I work up a mouthful of blood and saliva and spit it in her face. She flushes with rage. All right then, let's get started. I brace myself for the agony that's sure to follow, but as I feel the tip open, the first cut at my lip, some great force yanks Clove from my body, and then she's screaming. I'm too stunned at first. I'm too unable to process what's happening. Has PETA somehow come to my rescue? Have the game makers set in some wild animal to add to the fun? Has a hovercraft inexplicably plucked her into the air? But when I push myself up on numb arms, I see none of the above. Clove is dangling, a foot above the ground, imprisoned in Thresh's arms. I let out a gasp, seeing him like this, towering over me, holding Clove like a rag doll. I remember him as big, but he seems more massive, more powerful than I even recall. If anything, he seems to have gained weight in the arena. He flips Clove around and flings her to the ground. When he shouts, I jump. Never heard him speak a mutter. What'd you do to that little girl? You kill her? Clove scrambles backward on all fours like a frantic insect, too shocked to even call for Cato. No, it wasn't me. You said her name. I heard her. You killed her? Another thought brings a fresh wave of rage to his features. You cut her up like you were about to cut up this girl right here? No, Clove seizes the stone about the size of a small loaf of bread in Thresh's hand and loses it. Cato, she screeches. Cato! Clove, I hear Cato's answer, but he's too far away. I can tell that much to do her any good. What was he doing? Trying to get Foxface or PETA? Or had he been lying in wait for Thresh and just badly misjudged his location? Thresh brings the rock down hard against Clove's temple. It's not bleeding, but I can see the dent in her skull, and I know she's a goner. There's still life in her now. In her rapid rise and fall of her chest, a low moan escapes her lips. When Thresh whirls around at me, the rock raised, I know it's no good to run. My bow is empty, the last loaded arrow having gone in Clove's direction. I'm trapped by the glare of his strange golden brown eyes. What'd she mean? About Rue being her ally. We teamed up. I blew up the supplies. I tried to save her. I did. But he got there first. District 1. I say, maybe if he knows I helped Rue, he'll choose some slow, sadistic end. He won't choose some slow, sadistic end for me. And you killed him? He demands. Yes, I killed him and buried her in flowers, I say. And I sang her to sleep. Tears spring in my eyes. The tension in the fight goes out of me at the memory. And I'm overwhelmed by Rue and the pain in my head and the fear fresh and the moaning of the dying girl a few feet away. To sleep? Thresh says gruffly. To death. I sang her until she died. I say, your district, they sent me bread. My hand reaches up, but not for an arrow, because I'll know I'll never reach. Just to wipe my nose. Do it fast, okay, Thresh? Conflicting emotions cross Thresh's face. He lowers the rock and points at me almost accusingly. Just this one time, I let you go. For the little girl. You and me were even then. No more owed, you understand? I nod because I do understand about owing. About hating it. And I understand if Thresh wins, he'll have to go back and face a district that has already broken all the rules to thank me. And he's breaking the rules to thank me too. And I understand that for the moment, Thresh is not going to smash my skull. Clove! Cato's voice is much nearer now, and I can tell by the pain in it that he sees her on the ground. You better run now, fire girl, says Thresh. I don't need to be told twice. I flip over and my feet dig into the hard-packed earth as I run from Thresh and Clove and the sound of Cato's voice. Only when I reach the woods do I turn back for an instant. Thresh and both large backpacks are vanishing over the edge of the plain into the area I've never seen. Cato kneels beside Clove, spear in hand, begging her to stay with him. In a moment, he will realize it's futile. She can't be saved. I crash into those trees, repeatedly swiping away the blood that's pouring over my eyes, fleeing into the wild, wounded creature, like the wounded creature I am. After a few minutes, I hear the cannon, and I know that Clove has died, and that Cato will be on one of our trails, either Thresh's or mine. I'm seized with terror and weak from my head wound, shaking. I load an arrow, but only Cato can throw that spear almost as far as I can shoot. The only one thing that calms me down. Thresh has Kato's backpack containing the thing he needs desperately. If I had to bet, Kato's headed after Thresh, not me. Still, I don't slow down. When I reach the water, I plunge right in, boots still on, and flounder downstream. I pull off Ruth's socks that I've been using for gloves and press them into my forehead, trying to staunch the flow of blood, but they're soaked in minutes. Somehow, I make it back to the cave, squeeze through the rocks, and in the dappled light, I pull the orange backpack from my own, cut open the clasp, and dump the contents onto the ground. It's one slim box, one hypodermic needle. Without hesitating, I jam the needle into Peta's arm and slowly press down the plunger. My hands go to my head and then drop down in my lap, slick with blood. One last thing I remember is an exquisitely beautiful green and silver moth landing on the curve of my wrist. But not me, wanting to, continue. We have quite a few pages, though. I remember why I love this book so much. Yeah, we have a good amount. We have I want to say 85 pages left. So we have quite a bit that we'll have for finishing. Yes. But we have to leave it. We have to leave it on a cliffhanger. So the last little bit of book, you guys will have to tune in for next weekend. And we'll finish it, I promise. 80 pages is not that much. Even if I have to do it, because, I think, where were we at, 17? Let's see. Yeah, we made it about 70 pages, so I think we can finish it. I think we can finish it next one. But, here. I know. It's such a good story. Thank you, Robot Sidekick. I appreciate it. All right. Let's go ahead and see if there's anybody we can rate out to really quick before I give my little salutations, my little bye-byes. Yeah, you like the tea? I like you sipping Kermit's. It's funny. Okay, I think I know. Thank you for the hydrate, Robot Sidekick. Thank you. All right, let me get a sip. I need it. I need the water. All right. Okay, so I think we're gonna raid into Zeki because Stardew Valley is usually a pretty chill game. Lol, people giving me gift subs, so I might as well make use of them. Lol, of course. I like that though. That's pretty good. All right, so it looks like we're gonna try and raid into Zeki, who is playing Stardew Valley. It's it's like a lighter game, so it's not too much, and it's kind of ASMR-y. His voice very ASMR for me though. I love his voice. Zeki's voice is nice and deep. But let me do yeah. All right, here, let me go ahead and enter in the raid message really quick. Okay. All right. Let me at least just boom. Beautiful. Well, you lot sleep. I wake up. Thank you much, Shada Man, for the follow. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Welcome in. Time zones. Yay. Yeah, I know, right? All right. Let me see what's going on here. Because I think, if I remember correctly, Huh. No. That's not right. Oh, this music is nice too. You guys will like this. All right. We're going to go ahead and we're going to raid into Zeki. I'm going to go ahead and put the raid message here really quick. So we've got the raid message here. Hold on, hold on. All right. All right. This is the raid message, you guys. Thank you so much for coming out and spending some time with me on this lovely Sunday night into this early Monday morning for the people who are in North America. And good morning to you, Reaper, on this lovely Monday morning. I hope that you guys had a great night. I hope that you get some good sleep. I also hope that you make sure that you're eating all your food because it's really important, and as well as drinking all your water. It's really important as well. And we all want to make sure that we take care of ourselves because it is the most important. And above everything else, you guys, let's stay magical, okay? All right. I'm going to see you guys next week. I've got a big announcement, so please keep your eyes peeled on the social medias. Hello, Nereid. Welcome in. We're going to raid into Zeki, but those are my social media if you'd like to follow. And let's go say hi to Zeki, you guys. See you next week.